Hello, everybody. Let me welcome you on today's live session again with Frogeex. We have a little bit of a new format today. It's a live panel. It's my great pleasure to welcome our guests today. It's Dr. Johan Gielis here with us, dialing in from Belgium, and Diego Romeiro dialing in from Brazil. So first of all, warm welcome. And with this, today's discussion is all about wood and bamboo. Now, why are we talking, especially in this kind of relation, is it's a booming market. Both of them are booming markets. When we talk about the wood processing industry, there are continuous forecasts that project quite impressive growth over the coming years until 2030, and the same is happening to bamboo. Though the relation is not the same, there is a lot of complementing functionality where bamboo can be applied where wood was typically used before, but there are also limitations to that. So in today's session, and also especially from the perspective that we have as Frogeex, as the marketplace and business network of professionals in sustainable building and living, we like to go into discussions where we transparently talk about, opportunities and challenges with materials, and kind of help you to discern what is the right application, what are the right investments that you can make, and what are the factors that you potentially need to pay attention to in this field. So that was a little bit an intro on the topic, maybe a broad one, but I believe we're going to go a little bit more concrete and niche it down during the duration of our discussion. But let me share with you also a little bit on the background of our guests today. So first, I would start with Mr. Diego Romeiro. It's a great pleasure to welcome Diego today here with us. Diego is already a known person from the community, also from the Frogeex side. He's a holistic and systemic thinker, renowned for his work in research and commitment to address challenges of environment with ecological solutions. In his current capacity, Diego is the chief scientist of the Global Impact Alliance, providing guidance for businesses and municipalities on sustainability. He's also active on the advisory board of Frogeex. And in addition to that, he's also the founder of Magerium Biotechnology, my apologies, startup based in Brazil, producing high quality natural products with healing impact on skin and hair. With the research that he conducted and the academic background in environmental impact analysis, forest ecology, plant anatomy, raw materials, industrial processes, chemical waste management and disposal management, but also indoor plant growth management, he's well equipped to guide us and to kind of also shed some more light on the importance, especially of wood, or more representing the perspective or the elements of wood, and how can we manage this resource or trees in a more meaningful and wise way, also in the context of commercial application, of course. So with this, thank you so much, Diego, for taking the time being today here with us. And now let me move to Johan. It's a great pleasure to have also Dr. Johan Gielis today on the call with us. I met Johan on the Expo 2023. The first time it was held on bamboo in Europe, and it was a very impressive presentation. Now also I would like to share a little bit of details on his background with you, so you kind of get to know Dr. Johan Gielis as well. He's a renowned mathematician and a visionary thinker. He's especially known for his groundbreaking work in the realm of super eclipse geometry. His discovery of the natural superformula from 2003 was inspired by the growth of bamboo rhizome. His innovative ideas and relentless pursuit of mathematical beauty have dimensions of understanding the contours shapes and curves. But Johan is far more than that. He's not only a mathematician, he's also a pioneer in the realm of applied mathematics. He's also the author of the book Inventing the Circle, diving deep into nature's geometry. Now, currently, he is also serving as the VP of Research and Materials at the Antara Company International, blending mathematics with real-world application, delivering high-performance solution based on advanced materials, proprietary design principles, reshaping connectivity in our increasingly interconnected world. He's also a guest professor at the Radboud University. Now, with this, I would like to welcome Dr. Johan Gielis here with us. Johan, or Diego, if I missed anything from your rich profile or background, please let us know. So we are fully informed. If you have, of course, links to the works, etc., we are more than happy if our readers can kind of have a look at that one as well. Viewers.
Thank you, Jana.
Welcome in the call today.
Yeah, maybe as an introduction, Jana, thank you very much for inviting us. But actually, my background is biology and horticulture.
So this is.
So it started only mathematics started only in the second part of my life. But actually, my background is horticulture, and I started working for a horticulture company interested in bamboo. And I developed successful micropropagation methods for fast propagation. And then we teamed together with in various international, let's say, networks. For example, Bamboo for Europe was looking, can we grow bamboo in Europe, and where can it go wrong? What are the weak links? From really the planting material, does it grow in the field? We knew it grew in gardens, but does it grow in the field? Up till, let's say, the processing in wood industry and bioenergy and these things. And we did similar work also in Asia. So I've been out of bamboo for quite a while, 10 years or so. But because of the Bamboo Expo by Heraklios, I moved back in because in the beginning of the year, Professor Walter Liese, a giant in bamboo research, passed away. And he was also the, let's say, the guiding star on all these conferences. Because it's very important to be realistic and to be basing your, let's say, prognosis and things not on perception but on real data. So anyway, that's what I tried to do in the Bamboo Expo and tried to do since then. Tell people, well, if you don't have the data, that's not a real problem. Then you can start to look for them. But don't invent stories. So.
Yeah, I mean, so thank you so much, first of all, for enhancing our little research done over here on your background, very important. So thanks a lot for this one. And, absolutely agree with you. Can only echo that, and I think that's a perfect bridge actually into our little panel that we wanted to do on this topic, because there is a lot of discussion, a lot of noise. You mentioned it yourself. Bamboo is coming to Europe for several years. We already know there is a lot of happening, a lot of expectation on different sides.
Yeah.
So what maybe we can just go very, very straight. What's your perspective on why should we value bamboo as a new material coming into Europe? And maybe also for you, Diego, what do you see the relation, or what can we expect from this new situation as an impact also for managing trees, managing forests, or the typical standard wood processing industry? I mean, how can this have an impact? If you'd like to start with bamboo, and why should we actually grow, and what may be also a little bit the pitfalls with that?
Shall I start then?
Please.
Okay. So well, so bamboo is an addition to the portfolio of crops and materials. It's not a miracle solution. It's one of the say possible, because there's a lot of interest in hemp, for example, growing back, and there's various materials. Where bamboo stands out is that it's renewable material, so you can harvest. It's a grass, so bamboo is a grass. So most of the grasses evolved into planes and became smaller, and the bamboos were the only grasses that stayed in the forest, let's say, as either as understory as forest, evolutionary speaking. So they had to develop lignification like the trees and so on and so forth. And what China, and there's like 30 million hectares, say, of forest, bamboo forest, all over the world. Also in Brazil, there's a lot, and many species, but they are not used that much or only underutilized. Also in India for a long time, and when China started to develop the bamboo sector in the 80s, at first it was panels for flooring of containers, very hard material that you could not drive a nail into it, but gradually more and more sophisticated applications came to that. And now I think the figure of, let's say, trade is around $80 billion per year. And that is a sector that has grown in India from local users to really export to the whole world. And now the question is, can we, either in the temperate zones in the US or in Europe, or in tropical zones, say let's say Mid and Central America, Central and South America, or various parts of Africa, can we set up plantations with either tropical or temperate bamboos? I believe we can, but we should also be careful that it's not, again, as I said, a miracle plant. It's an addition to the portfolio of agriculture or forestry plants, and an addition to the portfolio of crops or plants that we useful plants. It's a very useful plant. Um, yeah, so just to give you an example, in the Bamboo for Europe project, we wanted not to adapt Europe to bamboo, but adapt bamboo to Europe, which means that it had to fit in how we do things in Europe. For example, we should not expect that the wood industry, that's $1 billion industry, should just shift everything to bamboo. But for example, we supplied materials to wood industry, and by mixing, say, 5 to 10% of bamboo fibers into medium density fiberboard, it got enhanced properties. So it's in the mix. You should see it in the mix. Also, the second part is degraded lands. There are a lot of degraded lands where bamboo could grow and start a kind of new ecosystem. So there's a lot of potential, a lot of useful applications as a substitute for timber, or preferably as something unique to bamboo. But it's growing. So, but when the Bamboo for Europe project, and then I'll stop, and Diego should also say something. We also have to think of scale. Huh? It's no use to plant 10 hectares of bamboo. You have to think in scale. If you want to deliver 1% of the biomass to the wood industry, you're talking about thousands of hectares. If you want to have bamboo, an example that I've heard of, did not know, for example, in Brazil, was Bambusa vulgaris grown for sacks of cement, for example, cement bags. Huh? So this kind of so very local things, but then on a scale. So anyway, so an addition to a portfolio. Let's put it this way.
Great, thank you. Now, Diego, also, with your head as a systemic thinker, as a holistic thinker, we hear words like scale, bamboo in Europe. We have ecology. You have all the research, then we have all the need, all the demand for wood. The wood processing industry is really like around 260 billion or something, is expected to be by 2030. So really, like, a scale of its own. What's your point on that? What's your perspective? Why should we? What's the combination? Where do you see it as a possibility to get along or together?
Yeah,
Together.
yeah, like the scale part afraid me a little because like in all plantations, the focus in scale is monoculture, and yeah, like this can create a lot of problems and even reduce the quality of the material. Like I experienced a little or quite a good time with bamboo too. And even here in Brazil, like we don't have so many species characterized like a wood species bamboo here in Brazil. Most of it's understory species. But yeah, like we grow bamboo from other parts of the world, other species, exotic species here. And most of the time, what we can see is when we grow like the bamboo together with the forest, the quality of the bamboo it's better than a plantation like a monoculture, because like you can create a best environment for grow like for the bamboo to grow, reduce um, the effect of binding when you grow in monoculture. Like the bamboo will not grow straight for like in a in a high quality to use for construction and all. So most of the people here that work with bamboo, they grow bamboo mixed with forests. So they use the succession, ecological succession, to improve the quality and like benefit the production. So yeah, for me, this is the key point, because most of the industries they don't look to that. And even when we think about wood, you can improve the quality of wood when you do this ecological succession than monoculture, because you change the environment to improve the quality, reduce the stress, and yeah, give other characteristics to the wood that can improve strength, uh, like even qualities to improve or reduce the amount of material to use in constructions and all. So yeah, this is for me it's the key point. I like bamboo. For me, it's a very good material. Like Johan mentioned, I have some studies when you use bamboo instead of iron or these metals in the construction. Like the result is better, like the mix with bamboo and cement to build concrete things or buildings. Like it's more light and give more strength to the structure. So yeah, have a lot of opportunities. We just need to bring the ecological part to the table to start to do things with less impact and give more benefits to the production.
Mm. Johan, would you like to reflect on that?
Yeah,
Or
as a comment, I first of all, I'm not very much in fond of importing or shipping all kinds of tropical bamboos around the world for let's say monocultures. That's clear. For example, in South America and Central America, you have a lot of guadavas that are used, for example, for building materials. Huh? So there you have some local knowledge as well. For example, in Colombia with Jimon Velez and with Oscar Hidalgo, passed away a while ago, who wrote a beautiful book, Bamboo Gifts of the Gods. So it's a kind of mix between knowledge that is local and the need of industry. And industry is something in between a material and a consumer, right? Um, what I would also like to say is that you can always think, and there are many examples of agroforestry. You say, Diego, about cultivation in mixed forest, which is the normal growth of bamboo. But you can also, in many cases, they have tall bamboos, like 30 meters tall bamboos or bambos in India, for example, and they do intercropping because it provides shade, it provides very good let's say intercropping conditions for small farming, so food crops or flowers even or whatever. So it's not. I'm not advocating monocultures. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's an addition to a portfolio that should be used wisely.
Yeah, yeah. I mentioned that because like companies here try to produce bamboo in a monoculture way to produce paper. And like the result, it's not good enough to the production because like I think bamboo benefits so much with the ecological succession that when we go in the direction of monoculture, it's the wrong direction with bamboo.
On the other hand, it's a fact that we live in a kind of industrial society where there are needs for raw materials. So if bamboo does not supply them, then other materials will step in and fill the gaps. That's one. We don't know how we will evolve but for the next decades, it will be something like let's call it a capitalistic system, where you have farmers growing stuff, processing and services, delivering services to the consumer that buys stuff. It's a complete chain, and that's how it works. So, if bamboo does not provide the raw material, then others will step in. Also, monoculture. So, it's we need to be careful, but we need also to be a bit audacious to say bamboo is a renewable resource. It captures carbon. In bamboo forests, whatever you can say about it, you can have. One thing what I found important about the Bamboo for Europe project was that you have, as a farmer, you have a material that you can sell in various ways. You can use it for your local fencing. You can use it for building houses. You can sell the poles. But you can also, for example, you can make from certain leaves. You can make tea. Certain bioenergy is one, but so let's say if you want to burn wood or burn bamboo, that's the worst thing you can do because that's really low added value. So the highest added value is you can use some of the things. And now I'm switching also to wood and various indigenous parts. So there's a lot of things that you can use from certain trees and certain bamboos that are of use in pharmaceutical industry or as in nutrition, for example. So, and that's the high added value stuff. And if you want to build a supply chain and if you want to build a value chain, for example, with bamboo, you have several possibilities to sell it in different markets. So if you go in the classical way, agroforestry only or agriculture only, and then you sell all your produce to one buyer, that's the bamboo. Bamboo has more possibilities than that, and I'm sure many trees have also extra underexploited possibilities.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And especially, I mean, when we look at also the environmental services, so that's also a little bit the background on the whole systemic ecological background. You have zoning in countries and landscapes where application of one or the other can help to mitigate or not only mitigate climate change, but apparently also improve conditions, rejuvenate the environmental services that are potentially not available anymore. So it's really like. I really would like to highlight the point which you mentioned in the beginning, Johan, which is we have a portfolio of solution, and it's a part of it. It's a part of it. I mean, you mentioned also hemp, so it's quite clear. Hemp is also a quite interesting element.
Yeah.
Maybe we have at some point also an attempt to have like a comparison of this because it's really like a matrix where you start to read, and you know what's the capacity. Very soon we come also to some kind of expectations of the numbers where you had a very strong presentation also on the expo versus expectation, carbon sequestration and the whole topic. But I like the options, to have the options to choose suitable things for the different regions and to be wise with the application and have an open and transparent dialogue, maybe more research also. With this, please, if you would have a comment, please share with us your thoughts. If not, yeah, please.
Yeah, well, there are lots of comments to be made, but say what I bamboo is a new plant, but let's say already 100 years ago, when the Western botanists started to explore all the uses of bamboo in the East, there was Porterfield, a botanist from the US, who wrote The Bamboo Age. And he kind of started to think of bamboo and the thousands of years, more than 1,000 documented uses in China and Japan. And he called that, so he said, in the West we have the Stone Age and the Bronze Age and the Iron Age, but the East had the Bamboo Age, which started from the very first moment that people saw bamboo and saw a use for it. Well, if they wanted to cut it for the first place, up till today. So the Bamboo Age is ongoing, and so I hope now, it has been going in waves, but I hope now that we can have some extra impetus and growth for that. So, but the Bamboo Age, 1,000 uses of bamboo. Huh? So,
Yeah,
So,
like this is start from my research, like starting 5,000 years ago. So yeah,
yeah,
it's a lot of technology comes from the bamboo. But
yes,
yeah,
yes.
like I think this is more related too, because most of the species that we use for construction and yeah, like commercial use comes from Asia. So yeah, like they are the hotspot of bamboo in the world. So
Yeah, and that's why China was so successful in building a whole industry.
yeah,
But you have to adapt to local practices. For example, if you want to grow bamboo in Europe, you simply cannot go about harvesting 3-year-old culms. You have to harvest mechanically. Hmm? So,
mm. So when we talk now, we had a little bit of a discussion about the history, the tradition, and it's very fascinating also to see all these applications. And you have all these videos and content that is now kind of coming also to Europe, spreading the message with all the amazing products as well. Where do you see the future and the possibility for bamboo, and what are the misconceptions of bamboo that we can have in terms of commercial terms? Just a second.
please, Diego.
If you can, please.
uh, yeah, like the misconceptions about bamboo. Yeah, I was reading like before some points that people start to talk about the capacity of bamboo to restore the water production and all. Yeah, I cannot find articles like you said, data that support this. I know that bamboo it's a good material to retain water, and yeah, I already see this capacity, but I don't found like data that supports the bamboo for restoration of springs and all this. Uh, for me, this could be a misconception because when we think about restore a spring, we think about root systems that act like a pump to bring back the water from the ground. And yeah, bamboo it's not so like so specific to that, because like it's very rise the roots like a meter deep only. And so to keep or to retain water, yeah, bamboo it's a good possibility, but not for restore springs and all. I think this is something that I found just in websites and not in scientific
Mm.
articles to support this. So this, for me, it's the yeah the misconception right now.
Mm. if I can answer a few things. So, for example, in the 1960s and 70s, they started in Alabama to grow bamboo and start harvesting strips, not the whole plantation. And now we are using it in the Bamboo for Europe project, and this is a model. So the Bamboo for Europe we did 30 years ago, and now it's being applied. So there's could be gaps of years, but also you have to start somewhere. For example, in the Bamboo for Europe project, apart from the mulching layer from the leaves that keep the soil moist, we also found, or a partner in the Bamboo for Europe project found, that bamboo only needs half of the water, scientifically proven, only half of the water of other crops, not corn, but for example, beets and so on. So, since many of the fights will be on water for the future, you can guess that bamboo could play a big role there. Secondly, we also initiated some experiments for the uptake of, let's say, zinc and so on and so forth. So, how bamboo, and this was preliminary 10 years ago, research with the University of Antwerp, cadmium uptake. So then you can reclaim abandoned mining lands, for example, or abandoned say wastelands. Well, let's say lands with human waste and also wastelands. So,
what about biodiversity? Is there any misconception about how biodiverse the spaces are where bamboo is grown versus where, for example, there are forests? I mean, and what is the difference? I mean, I believe there is also a differentiation when there is a monoculture, a plantation versus like a forest, like a native forest. So, what about this? Is it like what's the role of biodiversity? Does it have a role? And when you plant bamboo, or is it something that's maybe more where more research is needed, or what is your view on that? Your perspective, Johan?
Definitely more research is needed, but we see, for example, if you have let's say an open land where nothing grows, or you have a bamboo growing either in hedges or as a plantation, you will see that animals will search for shelter. So if you have tropical bamboos, you have a lot of so. But if you have temperate bamboos with rhizomes, you will not have many, let's say, rabbits digging holes, but you will have, let's say, pigs and birds trying to nest there and so on and so forth. So there will be an effect, but to quantify this effect, there have been a few steps in this direction. But that's an open area of research.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, like from the tropics, I think about biodiversity, the most concern here, and it's about the invasive species, because this brings a lot of concerns here. Some species of bamboo start to grow and almost destroy the forest, because the way that he spread in the like the roots in the soil start to create packs of bamboo, and anything grow there anymore. So this could be a problem.
So always with the introduction of invasive species are always a threat, whether it's animals or plants.
Yeah, but
Or
a good thing that I saw, people start to grow bamboo, like to control the bamboo. They create walls, like deep walls, like a meter deep, to control the root systems of the bamboo. So it's a way to control
yes,
certain. Yeah.
and there are many open questions, but there's let's say Einstein once said, if we know what we were doing, we wouldn't call it science, would we?
Yeah.
So, but
Right.
you have to ask the right questions,
Mhm.
and I try to have also an overview of where it can go wrong. So many scientists do just a little bit of piece, but you have to have systemic, holistic.
Yeah.
That's also what I'm trying to do, establish mathematical methods to study holistic and systems biology. So there's a big need for better understanding. And in my humble view, we hardly started to understand nature at all. So
Yeah.
there's so much to be learned. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And with nature, it's a. I mean, your book says it all when we look at the super shapes, and we will have a separate session on that one in December. So everybody, a teaser. There will be more on that with Johan and the practical application of nature's geometry. But there is also one more topic about carbon sequestration. So, you have also expectation versus reality. So how would you guide also people a little bit around, whether it's investors, whether it's, people hoping to start a business in this segment, or kind of investing into more traditional ways? What would be your perspective, both Diego and Johan, on carbon sequestration capacity, and also a little bit the boom around bamboo in this area?
yeah.
Go on. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm by nature a scientist, so I'm a natural skeptic for many of these claims. So for each policy paper on bamboo and producing so much more and capturing so much more, there are only a handful of scientific papers. Huh?
Yeah.
So, for example, in the IMBAR report, which was quite good, but then people start to invent things about this report. So, if you have a managed forest, huh, which means that you take out materials every year, then you can have, let's say, yeah, an increase of your carbon sequestration potential compared to wood forest. But wood forests always have more carbon sequestration. And the big problem is that if you abandon your management practices, then your carbon sequestration becomes only 30% of what Chinese fir plantations are, because the individual lifetime of a column is between 8 and 10 years, and then they decay. So the CO2 goes back into the air. And there's a lot of more research is needed. But yeah, looking at the available data, they are very scarce. Huh? And also from IMBAR, they had one good report and then had some people inventing a few things. But the problem is, if you start, let's say you start a plantation and you want to manage it, say, well, we have a plan for the next 10 years, but what happens after 50 years? It's going to be unmanaged somehow. Yeah, there's no secret about that, because the first 10 years you might make a profit, but then it's abandoned because you no longer make a profit. You're not going to manage a forest because you like managing forests. You do it for a living or for. So that's the big issue with bamboo. But apart from that, if you plant it on degraded lands, if you plant it on, let's say, mine land reclamation, then of course you create new ecosystems that create new opportunities. So again, there is no single answer to this. It's complicated as usual, but there are very scarce data on this.
Yeah. Yeah. Like about the carbon, I don't like so much too. Like Yana, for me, like carbon is just part of the climatological system. So people put too much effort for my taste
Yeah.
in carbon, and they just lack the opportunity to make efforts in water cycle and all. And think about that, like bamboo. When we think about the grow and all, yeah, it's very good, can sequestrate a lot of carbon. About evapotranspiration, yeah, it's not high than a forest. So when we compare evapotranspiration of a bamboo plantation or even a mixed plantation, it's not high than a forest well structured. So like a forest can evapotranspirate and benefit the climate 3-4 times more. About soil, carbon into the soil. Bamboo is not so good because like bamboo have a high content of silic in the cells.
Right.
Yeah, and this reduce the ability of microorganisms to bring back all this organic matter to the soil. So when you go a plantation or an area with bamboo, like the leaf litter continuously, like for months, to start to become part of the organic matter of the soil. So even the fixation of carbon into the soil, it's not like the best scenario with bamboo.
No, no, I agree. And I think I would like to make two more comments on CO2. When I was younger, we were studying, and I still do it now. So if you have a greenhouse and plants grow, the light comes up, sun comes up, and these plants start to consume CO2, and the CO2 level drops. So what they do is they just administer CO2 into the greenhouse, and plants grow better. So they grow better if you raise your level at 800 ppm. So I would expect, and all has to be proven, that in certain regions, in certain conditions, certain plants will grow better with
Yeah,
an increase. And again, second remark I would like to make is that the CO2 that goes into the air stays there for approximately 100, 150 years. Yeah? So CO2 that is emitted by a car stays into the atmosphere as individual molecules for, let's say, a century. So if you build bamboo or you use wood to make panels and you capture the carbon, well, these panels will not last 40 years either. So it's a bit, the problem is shifted in time, but eventually the CO2 will end up also in the atmosphere.
yeah,
So you can recycle and recycle, you can always do that. But for example, a life cycle analysis of Chinese bamboos, just for you to know, shows that transport harbor to harbor, so harbor in China to a harbor in Europe or the US, makes up 25% to 28% of all the eco costs involved. So it's not only about, if you use glue, that's another, anything glue also add eco costs. 25% of all the costs in eco things, it's either glue or transport harbor to harbor. So and that's why locally growing could be a solution to get rid of those things.
yeah,
Anyway, so a lot to think about, a lot to discuss.
A lot of
I'm
work.
also glad that there will be another expo in Dortmund in 2024. I also proposed to Iraklios that I will give there a general talk on what we know and what we don't know. But let's see.
Yeah, but it's very important to raise awareness, but because it's very important also. Apparently, you have a lot of as well investment going into this, so there has to be like a real solid data where you can base it on to have respective calculations, expectation, etc. So really important to be transparent with what we know, share, flag the gaps which we have in knowledge and in research that may be needed, and beneficial to develop this segment. Now, as we are heading towards the end, we have maybe time for two more questions, and we would need to keep them short, the answers or questions too. So, what is your concern when we talk about managing bamboo, managing forests, managing wood in this context of having different materials now coming in, fixing a new portfolio of elements that we work with for different industries? What is your concern on that, also in the context of the changing climate conditions?
Yeah, well, silence on this side. I will start. So there's a lot that we don't know, but say if you ship poles from say Central America, it could be Guatemala or something else. If you ship them in containers, you're shipping a lot of air. That's one of the issues that is not benefiting all this. So local production is so limiting. But again, we live in a world where, say, we have 100 ships running around the whole world. If they don't transport bamboo, they will transport something else, or they will go around 2 times the globe empty, just because these things are just crazy. Because let's say a ship full of fish fuel or wood biomass, they can go to a harbor and then return because there's a higher price somewhere else to be made. So strange world, but that's where we live in. So bamboo is a useful addition to a portfolio with many benefits. But if we do not succeed in getting the real data and getting good investments in this, and realistic investments and realistic expectations, then surely other things will take the place of bamboo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think add to the point. Yeah, I already mentioned with Yana before that transportation of bamboo it's a crazy thing because it's difficult to fit in any cargo. It's a lot of air. So what I see the possibility is to process this bamboo before transporting.
Yeah,
So
sure.
China
Locally.
is doing a lot of panels and all, so this can benefit a lot too. And I think concerns about all the things we miss the precautionary principles all the time. Science for me was based in precautionary principles. So if you don't understand one thing, don't do it. So but right now they just do things without understand and yeah.
But that's with everything. So they
Yeah.
put out. They have policies for electric vehicles, and then we have to build it, and if it will work. So 100 years ago, there was a big battle between electrical vehicles and fossil fuel vehicles. Fossil fuels vehicles won because the batteries were not sufficient, and we are risking having the same now. Yeah. So unless
Yeah.
Toyota comes with a better battery as they promised.
Yeah.
There has been there's actually a paper. So Thomas Edison used bamboo for his first lamps, incandescent lamps, and it was one of the best materials. So they picked this bamboo out of 1,000 materials in Japan, and they still celebrate Edison Day every year there. And there has been a recent paper on using bamboo, carbonized bamboo, to rapidly charge batteries. So you never know where bamboo might show up.
Yeah.
But it's also amazing if you take 1 gram of charcoal. So 1 gram of charcoal of bamboo that has a specific area. It's full of holes and so on. Do you know how large this area is for 1 gram of charcoal of bamboo?
Yeah, the area is huge.
800 square meters.
Yeah.
800 square meters. That's 80 by 10. You can all fit it into 1 gram of charcoal. So it has the potential to capture a lot of molecules.
Yeah. It's the bamboo have produced the best activate charcoal.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think we came to the end.
Yes, absolutely. That was a perfect bridge with like a 30 seconds answer, the last one to close. So you can just say the sector where you believe, or maximum top three sectors, like if it's going to be construction or I don't know, food or whatever is your choice, where you think it's going to be like the top priority for bamboo or wood. For Diego, I believe wood is more relevant to stay, but of course you're more than welcome to add your perspective. So where do you consider are the top or the highest potential sectors for the application of bamboo and also continuous application of wood? Sorry.
Diego, you go first.
Yeah, like for bamboo, I see potentials in construction, like to reduce the steel, like Johan mentioned, like the results to change a steel for bamboo are very good. You can reduce weight and all. And right now, I think the panels of bamboo are a good potential for the market because have good strength. It's light, and yeah, I like very much this material, and I see good potential on that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Johan.
Well, the driver will certainly be the building industry and the decoration industry. That's for
Yeah.
sure. We saw also in the Bamboo Expo, many architects building very successful. Jennifer Snyders from Australia was outstanding with what she's doing in Australia. They have native bamboos, but not that many. But she's building a real business, has built a real business, and other architects who were there. So that will be the main driver because it's also added value. So it will be used also in the tropics for bioenergy, but that's really low added value. But it's also one of the drivers, I think, bioenergy. So. And maybe high level pharmaceuticals, I hope. Or
Yeah, interesting. So, with this, thank you very much for your time, first of all, for being here with us, sharing your insights and your perspective. Was a very interesting, insightful discussion, I believe, also for all our viewers. You can watch the replay. If you have any comments or questions, drop them under the video. And with this, I would say once again, thank you so much, Dr. Johan Gielis, for being here with us today.
you're welcome. Sorry, it was my pleasure. So.
Absolutely a pleasure to have you, and of course, having Diego Romeiro with us again. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jana.
Okay.
It's a pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Ciao.